Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to day 2 of Civil Service Live. My name's Ruth Owen. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Job Centre Plus. I'm delighted to welcome you here today for another good session of discussions. For our opening session today, we're going to be talking about creating safe and active communities and active citizenship. In particular, we're going to be asking how civil servants can get more actively involved in supporting and working within their local communities. And this can help us work out how do we actually build and drive forward the big society. I'd like to introduce our panel today. Firstly, on my right, Baroness Helen Smith, who recently published Our Vision for Safe and Active Communities, and she'll be speaking to you very shortly about her vision. Sitting next to Helen is Hayley Bell, who is Joint Chair of the Friends of Offerton. She's featured in the Baroness's report as an active community worker. She's also a mum of 8 and therefore is a real role model for what can be done in community activism. Next to Hayley is Ravinda Valia, who you will have seen, I hope, on the video. Ravinda is a policy advisor on European policy and programmes, but is also an active volunteer for over 30 years, active in his local community, working through the Rotary and Rotaract clubs. And finally, on the right, Elise Laker, also seen on the video. Both Elise and Ravinda work in Department for Communities and Local Government, and Elise is a policy advisor on council tax benefit. But she's also an active volunteer in the Scouts and Guides Association. So we have a great panel to talk to you today about their experience of being active in their communities, and we'd like to encourage you to get involved today and hear your views and questions about how you might go about and do that. But first of all, I'd like to invite Helen to speak to you about her vision for safe and active communities.
Thank you, Ruth. Good morning. I'm so pleased to be here today. It's a great pleasure to speak to you as I wanted a chance to address civil servants across Whitehall. I mean, I can talk for England, so please bear with me, but there's 500,000 of you, so I'm really trying to get out there to see you. I hope you take my words back home and act as my ambassadors. And more importantly, be inspired to join my army of community volunteers yourself. I'll be reaching out through our civil service network, publications and websites, through your permanent secretaries and Sir Gus O'Donnell, and hopefully the Cabinet Office. So I apologise in advance if you feel that you're having a new love overload. It is a hugely important part of my work to get you on board, and I hope you will understand after hearing my history and my story. My name is Helen Smith, and in 2007, my husband Gary was brutally murdered in front of my 3 young daughters, aged 12, 15 and 18, outside our home. Teenagers who felt it was a highlight of a good night out, spending their time terrorising individuals, damaging property and other antisocial behaviour. They kicked him to death in the head and in the body in front of my daughters, as I've just said. We had been married for 21 years, and Gary had fought against life-threatening cancer, which cost him his stomach and spleen. So to lose him in such a senseless way really made me vow I would not let him just be a statistic to youth violence, but would fight to my last breath against antisocial behaviour, underage binge drinking, and violence that follows through. It's also the inertia that had neighbours remain behind their doors, ringing the police, but not coming out to help them to see off what affects these children, aged between 14 and 18, boys and girls. There are so many more of us that outnumber the criminal and violent element. I know if we all stood up and be counted, we could tackle the fear in our communities. And it is small bricks that build big buildings. By helping local social projects, youth activities. And did you know there are 30,000 kids waiting to join the Scouts alone, with no chance as they need leaders? doing the shopping for the elderly, we form those social and friendship networks in our home ground, which makes it easier to support and protect the less vulnerable and watch out for them because we care. A year ago, I was made a peer in the House of Lords. I joined the Home Office as the champion for safe and active communities, and I produced my first report for government. This was always a work in progress to me. I spoke to many good people out there who work to make their communities safe and their environments pleasurable. I wanted to get others to support them and learn from them. You'll hear from Hayley, who lives and works in one of my 7 neighbourhoods. I chose to feature this in my report. When you hear what she has managed to do, as an activist in her community, you'll know why I'm talking to you today. She's truly inspirational to me, and I'll keep championing her cause. My report, Our Vision for Active and Safer Communities, had 12 calls to action or government recommendations from all of the good practice and suggestions put to me by active people in their community. This year, I joined DCLG, and I'm actively working on 3 priority areas and also helping shape the official government response. I have to say, as an outsider to civil service, I was flummoxed by the language you use and the way you communicate. If I want to see someone to say hello, my helpful team will ask, why do you want to say it? Who do you want to say it to? And what will they say in return? So I say, I just want to say hello. But then it becomes a 3-page brief. So it is also odd but refreshing to have thrown down the gauntlet on behalf of communities as a challenge to government, and now I am working to answer myself. I like it. Please read my report. I'm proud of it, as it is the voice of many, many community campaigners and activists around the country. Written in plain English too. I want to address the scourge of binge drinking, which made the attack on Gary so much worse and scars our streets at night with its actions. I want to establish a 2-click service for anyone across the country to access simple guidance on how to get involved, strengthening the social fabric of their street and their neighbourhood. I want a simple referral to what's happening locally, which includes busting those barriers to effective access to information and resources. And I say bring on the participatory budgeting, which I always stumble on them words, so I'm quite proud of myself. So everyone can have a say how local taxes are spent on local activities, such as youth projects. Stockport calls it, you say, we pay. Couldn't put it better myself. This government is determined to turn the big government into big society. And before you turn off, let me tell you what I think it means. It might not be right, but it's my view, and I'm sticking to it. So we set up local budgets, we empower community activists to make their ideas reality by accessing resources. Tell them they can get together and buy obsolete buildings that are up for sale for local benefit. Set up not-for-profit or community interest companies. Without the expertise to write the business plans and grant bids, advise on dealing with red tape, become the community safety eyes and ears for the vulnerable, what chances will they be able to do any of these things? It's like putting all your sweets in a lovely large shop window, but has no door to let them in. I want to release the power of public servants everywhere to be that open door. It's one of my report recommendations. But please, I'm not a minister, I'm not a politician, or a civil servant. I'm just Helen, a mother of 3 young women who are aged 16, 20 and 22 now, and I'm immensely proud of them. And someone just like you who wants to make a better world for them than the one I was born into. And because of their terrible experience that they're still living today, It means creating a safer and happier one for them to live in, and I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I know that many of you face uncertainty, personal challenges in these harsh economic times. This is a period of upheaval and job losses in many parts of the public services, and truly not an easy time to making this request to reach out and volunteer. The whole country is facing an uncertain future. No one could have possibly foretold a few years ago. We are all in this together. None of us can get into bed, pull the duvet over our heads and wait out for this storm. And I like to believe that public servants especially want to serve the public. Many of you genuinely feel it is a vocation, not just a job. You're also parents, sons and daughters, carers of elderly parents and children, good neighbours, and many of you already volunteer in your communities. I was amazed that a staggering 67% of the senior civil service already undertake unpaid community service. At least 1 in 3 and sometimes 50% of other grades. I'd like you to encourage you all to do the same or even more. So this is a rallying cry for you as civil servants to get out there, embrace volunteering and put your valuable skills at the disposal of the communities. And that's because you are the community, not some faceless civil servant that does a 9-to-5 job, comes home and goes into hibernation until the next day. You are a highly trained, knowledgeable workforce with formidable skills, and without doubt your neighbours really do need you. The film you've watched says more than I can about what you will get in return. The glow of being appreciated, feeling it is the right, good thing to give back, and that includes mentoring young people and supporting struggling charities to survive. Here are just a few thoughts to ponder. 1. Look out for opportunities to volunteer with small community groups and grassroots activities, as well as more established charities or institutions. Rita and George in Cutsyke struggle to raise £700 a year to pay for their heating bills, so when we have horrendous winters, they have to close that centre, which is a vital life to everybody. This is a place where children often go, not even given 3 meals a day, go to sleep in the same clothes every day until they're too small to get into, and they wear them, care for them, and teach them social skills through play. Imagine what you could do to help a similar life changing. And I don't use this term lightly because I've seen these children and what they can do. This group of people really make a difference in their community. Try to put your best civil service skills at their disposal. IT, administration, project management, policy making, your knowledge of funding processes, your understanding of how to navigate bureaucracies would be brilliant. It would help me as well. These skills will be really valued by many ordinary people wanting to do good, but not knowing how to. Be the door, but also the key to unlocking what's out there for them to help. In Cutsyke, they had to learn and go to college themselves because nobody would come and help them because it was a horrible estate. Please try to sustain your support over time. Avoid, if you can, a one-off burst of support with no follow-up. They really value what you give back to them. It's lovely to go as a team and paint a wall or clean an overgrown garden. Please do not stop doing that. It's about donating an hour a week to mentoring a child, either in a school or after work in an activity. An hour or more a week looking at the books or putting in grant bids could be so important to a struggling charity. It's so vital for these people who really need your help. Please take this opportunity, but your bosses are giving you to do it in work time. Thank you for listening, and please have a good day.
Thank you, Helen. It's a really inspiring story, and I do seriously recommend reading her report. It genuinely is in plain English, and some fantastic case studies for you to have a look at. One such case study we've got with us today. Hayley, perhaps you could just follow on by telling us how you first got involved in your community.
Yeah.
We was very lucky from where I came from in Offerton, Stockport. We got introduced to PB, Participatory Budget, you say we pay. That enabled us as a community to decide where this money was to be spent. For me and my friend that also helps me with this, it was youth that we decided we wanted to help. We had nothing. We had basically the youth centre, that was it. We had very much lack of anything else, any other facilities. With the introductory of the PB in Offerton, we've now got quite a new, well, set of groups really, and we're all networking now. Whereas before you had your small pocket groups, you had your scouts, you had your, your little groups all dotted around. Now we're actually networking, we're quite large now, and things are looking very, very good. I think it's really truthful to say that not everything works for every community, and it's up to you to decide for yourself in your community what you need, what your priorities are, and what's going to benefit yourself more, and what you're, a lot of people think that by giving something you should be getting something. Well, you are. You're getting to stand there and you're getting to be proud of being who you are. You're getting to be proud of your community, and for a lot of people that makes a real difference.
Thank you, Hayley. There's a really good inspiration. And I guess people in the audience and through the video might be thinking, as Helen's already recognised, as civil servants we're going through challenging times. We've got a government requesting of us to deliver a very ambitious reform agenda at a time when resources are reducing. And that obviously is our primary function. But quite rightly, we have those skills that we take home with us as well. And the really good news is that lots of civil servants are already volunteering in their communities. And research shows actually more. I'm sure people in the room today would love to get involved if only they knew how. And that's what we're going to help you with today. I know Sir Gus would say if he were here today on behalf of all the permanent secretaries that the civil service is determined and committed to supporting volunteering and enabling civil servants to be active in their communities and to share those fantastic skills that we do have to the benefit of their local communities. And you'll probably know that the civil service has committed 30,000 volunteering days, which, as Helen says, don't have to be done as one-offs, can be broken down and made as a sustainable commitment. The permanent secretaries have also requested that every senior civil servant, as part of their leadership objective from this year, has to show how they're enabling and leading and encouraging their people to be active volunteers too. There are some great examples. We'll hear from Elise and Ravinda in a moment from what CLG has done in giving people 6 days per year to go out and be active as volunteers. In my own department in DWP, we've committed 10,000 days for our people to get volunteering, and in HMRC, 6,000. And there's much more people can do over and above that in your own individual time with the skills that you've got. I think it's also important to recognise this isn't just about us as individuals, because as a service, we also work with citizens and our end users, customers and clients. For example, in my business, in Job Centre Plus, we work very closely with people who are unemployed, and one of the things we can offer our customers is the ability to go out into their community and to volunteer, which not only helps their community, but gives them work skills and new opportunities to put on their CV that helps in their work search too. So think more broadly about what your role offers you in terms of engendering a more active community. We know in the Home Office they're looking at the portability of CRB checks, which is going to be really useful for people who are moving between different community groups. And similarly in Department of Health, they're looking to harness the whole number of volunteers they have in the hospitals and how they can help further. We're going to look at a video very quickly now, thinking about our day jobs. It's a case study again from my business in Job Centre Plus, where you might be familiar with a previous example where we've run job clubs, for unemployed people to get together and give each other peer support. In the past, we've run them as part of a government-run organisation. Now, we've recognised it's not the role of government necessarily to run these clubs. Actually, it's better to free up the community to run them themselves and to give them the support and facilitate what we call now work clubs that are now run through the community. The example you're going to see today is a fantastic example in a community centre in Sunderland, where the community has actually set up its own work club with a little bit of help from Job Centre Plus. Let's look at the video now.
Work clubs are one of DWP's Get Britain Working initiatives introduced to help people who are out of work. They are up and running all over the country and are designed to meet the needs of local communities. The work club run by volunteers at Sunderland's North Family Zone is an example of this community-led approach. It's a place where unemployed people can meet, share contacts and ideas and support each other through the job-seeking process. We spoke to some of the people involved.
My name's Linda Prokopis and I organise the job club here in Sunderland North Family Zone.
How easy was it to set up a work club?
Well, setting up the work club was easy really, because we've been involved in other schemes before, and people on those schemes will keep returning to the centre to use our facilities. They feel comfortable, there's nothing formal about it, and we knew it would work within the centre.
Have you engaged with the local business community?
Well, we've got a network of local small businesses, well not just local, citywide actually, who take our clients on and give them hands-on practical work experience.
What is the most rewarding aspect of volunteering?
Well, I've been here for 30 years with 2 other colleagues, and it's just seeing the people come in, some, you know, with no confidence, no self-esteem, and within maybe a few weeks or months or years for some of them, to see the difference it's made in their lives and the difference they are now making in the community.
Martin is unemployed and has recently joined the centre as a volunteer to gain work experience. What's been your experience of helping out at the centre?
It's been great. Seeing what they've done, the people they help, just some of the classes they do, Weight Watchers, the helping people find jobs, the helping people with disabilities. It's great to actually have somewhere close by that does something that's helping people that don't normally get help.
My name's Nigel Wilkinson. I work for Job Centre Plus as an employer engagement manager.
How can Job Centre Plus help set up a work club?
Job Centre Plus are there at the beginning to help set the work club up, to give advice and guidance on the venue or the numbers of people that they might want to come along. We're also there to signpost customers throughout the lifetime of the work club, and also as a mechanism if there's any problems during that time, that the work club can pick the phone up and ask for advice and guidance.
Work clubs, like the one in Sunderland, are just one of the new ways departments are working with local communities. They offer local people a flexible model which they can tailor to suit the need of their local community, with professional support from Job Centre Plus as and when needed.
So that's just one example, and that's an example from a delivery part of the civil service, and we are out there obviously acting and working within our communities. But if you work in a central department, there's plenty of opportunities for you to get involved too. Let's hear from our other panel members now. Elise, perhaps you can tell us how you first got involved in volunteering and what you get out of it.
Yes, so I volunteer particularly for the Scout Association. And I got involved through having been in it at the Guides and the Scouts growing up. A call went out that the local cub pack was going to close because the leaders were retiring, and 20 or so children who currently had a sort of after-school activity were just not going to have anywhere to go. So I'd already been on the borders of volunteering with the older children, the teenagers, and I stepped in and said, yes, okay, I'll take it on then. And it was a huge challenge to take this cub pack that, you know, it's 8 to 11-year-old, mostly boys, that had been set up in a particular way and run in a particular way by an elderly couple, and really turn it around and breathe new life into it and do some exciting activities and bring it into the 21st century. And it's just been so rewarding. It became very successful. We were oversubscribed with children wanting to join. And I've since moved to London Borough of Sutton, actually, and set up an entirely new scout troop with my husband where they didn't have anything at all. So just that sort of call for help that went out got me hooked from remembering my own enjoyment in guiding and scouting as a child. And I've never really looked back, and I intend to just keep going, see how many more communities I can bring scouting and guiding to.
That's a great story. And how does DCLG support you in that?
Well, I've been very thankful to DCLG for providing the 6 days of volunteer leave. It means, for example, this year we'll be taking a group of 15 children to Simmons Yat, sort of Shropshire borders, to summer camp. And some of these children just wouldn't have a holiday if they weren't coming on camp with us. I mean, not only is it, an opportunity that the schools don't offer, it's a bit more freedom and to camp in the wilderness and to do some of these activities, but giving those 6 days means that I can take them and genuinely go away, and it just gives that opportunity. And I think it really encourages people to get involved, because volunteering is obviously a big time commitment when work is so important, but to say here's some time you can take off to really get involved with your community is just so important. And I found it very, very helpful, and I'm very thankful that they've allowed me to do that.
Thank you. Ravinda, tell us about how you first got started in volunteering.
A bit like here, it was a call. I think it was more years than I care to remember as a youngster in school, and I still can't remember what the charity we were raising money for. It was walking across the London bridges from Tower Bridge to Vauxhall and back. It was about 15 miles. But to me, as a youngster, the great attraction was at the start of the walk, you could meet the biggest pop group at that time, the Wombles, and you could have your pictures taken with the Wombles. And that's what's got me into it. And I understand from my colleagues, actually, Wombles are making a comeback at Glastonbury last week. So that's what got me involved. And as I said, I haven't looked back, and one thing leads to another. And so it's all down to the Wombles, I'm afraid.
And that just shows there are many ways into volunteering and many benefits, indeed, of getting active in your community. So those are just a few examples from us of what we've been involved in. Now I'd like to open it up for hear from the audience here in the auditorium about ideas you have about how you can get involved, what you need in terms of support to get you to become active, or any questions you've got for our panel. Let's open up the mics. Can't see any hands yet. Who's going to be the first? There's one right at the back there. And then one down the front if we've got next one lined up. Okay, when you introduce yourself, tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm Miranda Wilkinson. I work for National Offender Management Service. I wanted to ask Elise and Ravinda, do you work full-time? And if so, how do you find the time to dedicate to volunteering, albeit the 6 days are granted by your department?
Yeah, Ravinda first, sorry.
Okay, yes, I do work full-time. You find time, like most of my done in the evenings and weekends, and some of the fundraising, it's like the odd phone call to local businesses, or you can normally sneak some time in the office to make those calls. I haven't been a civil servant for a long time. I'm telling you what it was like. Nowadays, having these 6 days across the civil service in the near future, that will help. That will allow people time to actually not do that. But in the years I've been doing, these things weren't around. So you would make phone calls or just do that what you can. And you found time. Amazingly, it didn't take too long. If you planned yourself well, it was possible to do it.
Elise.
Yes, that's a really good question, because volunteering seems like a huge worry when you've got so many work commitments. I do work full time, and I've worked for the civil service now for 5 years, and throughout that whole time I've volunteered for Scouts every single week, and up until very recently Guides as well, which was a Monday night, and Scouts, which was a Wednesday night. and I managed to do all my office hours. It did sometimes come down to a panic Wednesday lunchtime when I thought, oh gosh, I'm not sure I've actually quite finished planning this evening, and I'd have to hurriedly do a bit of internet searching for whatever badge we were working on. But I found actually, like Ravinda says, it's really I find it's a state of mind about creating time, because you just sneak time where you can, whether it's sat on the train, and you don't have to be writing anything, it's just thinking what you might do with the children later on in the week. And we just hold planning meetings, so perhaps Scouts finishes at 9 o'clock, we'll stay for an extra hour and a half, go to the pub maybe, and just plan, the next term of activities. So you do find the time. And also, whilst I have been volunteering, I also do amateur dramatics Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I've got quite a full schedule and still manage my day job. So, you'll be amazed at what time you can find. You perhaps just have to give up some of the television, I'm afraid.
That's impressive. In terms of time management, Hayley, as a mum of 8, you must be very good at time management to be active in your community as well.
I think I run mine like a scout group. I'm a mum of 8. I've got 2 disabled children. Georgia especially takes a lot of my time up and down at hospitals. I get to work within that time. I take my children along. I also work in the evenings because I run our local community website, which keeps everybody informed of meetings, events, or just give them a platform of a discussion board, really, within the community. So, yeah, it can be, but, that time is very much rewarding when you're giving it to something and it's giving this impact out there. It is so much rewarding.
Thank you,
I think
Ravinda.
providing it's fun and you're enjoying what you do, it's amazing how you can find a time in not just voluntary, anything. As long as you're having a good time and enjoying it, time doesn't seem to be a problem normally.
Okay, thank you for that. The next question was down here. Any more hands going up? One in the middle here. Next question, thank you.
Alex Browning, Fraud Investigation Service. I am a Brownie leader, so... the 6 days leave, is that across all government departments? Because I wasn't aware of it and I'd quite like some, thank you.
I was saying earlier, it varies across departments. So the 6 days is the commitment from CLG. You're in DWP, so we've got a commitment across the whole department for 10,000 days. So if you go on the intranet and look up Community 10,000, talk to your line manager, then negotiate which of those 10,000 are going to be yours.
Thank you.
Is that okay? Okay, in the middle here, thank you.
Hi, I'm Nigel Reid. I work for the Met Office. Some of our staff is I think, common right across civil service. We've got quite a lot of people leaving the organisation at the moment, a number of them taking early retirement. We support them with outplacement services, and we give them financial advice and advice on how to live in retirement. What I haven't spotted is any specific encouragement for these people to volunteer. I was wondering if there's any possibility or any plans to actually publicise this specifically to people who are taking early retirement from the civil service.
Helen, what do you think of that idea?
I think it's a valid point, actually. That's what I'm actually trying to get an army of people to come forward, because I was amazed by the DVD, the people that do a lot. There's also a lady who does a lot in Tower Hamlets, and I don't know how she does a full-time job as well, so I'm very, very admirable. But I think, this is where we can push it forward. This event is why I'm speaking here, is part of my planning DCLG, is to bring this forward, get the message out there. It's a continuous work that I'm going to do. And actually, having these conversations, I think I need to reorganise my life. I need to switch the TV off and do a lot more, to be honest. I think it's amazing. So any ideas you've got, please let us know. These, on the evaluation form, these emails, and I am personally going to look at them all and with my team and see how we can then further this, because I'm meeting cabinet ministers and talking about this, because it's very valuable work that you do, and when you are retired, you've still got brain cells, you're still active, so let's work together.
Okay, great idea actually. We'll pass that on as well across departments, because I think that's something that could really help people who are leaving the civil service to maintain those skills. Thank you. Lady in the purple. And there's a lady at the side for the next one.
Hello, I'm Claire Hardgrave. I work in the Home Office now. I'm privileged enough to live in a leafy suburban community with a very active, community association and lots of lovely things that go on. But I was really struck by Helen's example of the group that were desperately trying to raise £700, and what I'd really love to see is how do you join people like me who live in leafy suburbia with people who really would value a few hours of my time, perhaps in a more disadvantaged community or wherever it is. How do you match those people together?
Well, actually, that's quite good, because it brings to, when I was first started this journey in the Home Office, the neighbourhoods we had a workshop, and I'm very conscious of the north-south divide. You become, we kind of think it's only us that suffer. What the guys found, that actually they aren't on their own. I say I can talk for England, but these guys can talk for England when they get together. They plant a seed, and it's great. It's about sharing. I had a blog. I've still got a blog, helenyoulove.co.uk. But if you get on there, these guys are the ones that can actually say, well, you could do this and you could do that. What I found fascinating was one area that had lots of money through the lottery. Cut Psych, who I mentioned, they're really struggling, wonderful people. They had a house off the housing association, and they got the first floor, the bottom floor, then they gave them the top, so they had a full house. And what they did, they helped the people in Southampton, because the people in Southampton wanted a house like this, and their council said, well, no, we can't give you them. But actually, Cut Sight went to their council, found all the information, and they shared. So it's a mentoring that they don't think they're doing it, but they're doing a grand job. And so I'd really, if you can drop an email, and these guys can tell you what to do. I think it's really good, and thank you very much.
Okay, the lady at the side there.
Hello, my name's Bob Harvey. I work for Revenue and Customs. I'm actually an Explorer Scout leader and spent far too much time giving my free time to scouting. I've asked a number of times for some special leave and volunteering leave to take my young people away on activities. But I've been told that the Scout Association is not one of our approved partners, and that I can't have any time under Revenue and Customs rules to go away with the Scouts. I could have time off to teach them about tax, or to do reading with them in skills, but teaching them social skills and life skills and civic responsibility and all the things that the Scouts and the Guides and other youth groups get involved in is not appropriate, I've been told, and I'm not allowed the time off. I'd be interested to know what people's opinions of that is.
No, that surprises me. I don't know if anyone else has had that experience.
Yeah, it's such a shame that they've said that, because DCLG are aware that it's the Scout Association and Guide Association that I give my time to, and they've actually been very supportive. It just seems a real shame.
I'll suggest you go back and make another submission to your line management with a copy of Helen's report. I think that might change their mind, and tell them what's going on.
And barrier busting, I'm very interested in that one. Very interested.
Maybe you could get your parents from the children from the Scouts group to all give you support in that as well, and tell them, how valuable that the service is to them and what it means to their children.
Yeah, sounds like you could build a good business case, and send us an email about that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, okay, gentleman in the middle here. Oh, and then the second one over here, then third one down here. Thank you.
It's David Greenwood from HMRC. Many civil servants now work in call centres and would like to volunteer, but unfortunately when they do ask to volunteer, they get told that they can't get the time off because of business need. And they're not told what that business need is, apart from the fact that we might drop the odd call here and there. I'm sure there's many things that could be done to overcome that business need, like shift swaps, but many people in call centres feel that there's a two-tier system, that many of us could get time off quite easily to volunteer, whereas they can't, and I just wondered what's been taken forward to ensure that all civil servants, irrespective of the sort of area that they work, can equally volunteer.
I can speak for somebody who runs some call centres. The key to it is planning, in my view. because call centres are run in a different way than different parts of the civil service, in that we schedule people based on demand of customer contact. But if you're in HMRC, did you say? Yep, the HMRC has committed itself to 6,000 days a year in volunteering. If you were able to say in advance to the people that run your scheduling, you know, in several weeks' time, I'd like to take this particular day or this half day or whatever off, then certainly the way we run our call centres, that goes through the scheduling and generally is allowed, because you can, as you say, swap people around or change schedules. The issue is if it's short notice, you know, the primary reason we have to be there is obviously to answer the calls. That's the business need to make sure we can serve our customers. So planning in advance would be my key in terms of what you could do to make it easier for your business to release you. And certainly in terms of flexible scheduling, there are certainly many mechanisms in running a call centre where you can give both individuals and, of course, you know, teams time off as well if you can schedule it appropriately. Where was my next one? It was down here. Has anyone got the mic down here?
Hello.
Oh, sorry, somebody's got the mic up there. Can we come to this lady next in the black top? But yes, over there. Thank you. Go ahead.
Right, sorry. I thought I'd hijack the mic because I was waving, but I don't think you could see me. My name is Emma Ireland. I work for the Identity and Passport Service. I'm an executive assistant, and I'm very keen to head up a carers group for us. However, it's quite difficult because I don't have access to leadership training, because there's no reason why an executive assistant would need it, because I don't manage staff. I'm very keen to ask the opinion of the panel. How do you think I can get leadership skills that would enable me to chair an effective carers organisation, carers group, to support carers? I think they're really an ignored part of the diversity group so far, and if there's any way that you can include an area on the staff survey which asks, do you feel discriminated as a carer? Because that's missing too, and I've been told it's too late. It's something I feel really passionately about, and any ideas at all you've got that would help me really make a really good, strong, effective carers group that would support people and be really effective would be fantastic.
Great, thank you, Emma. Elise, let me come to you first. What about sort of leadership skills in this environment?
Well, firstly, I think it's brilliant you're so passionate and enthusiastic about your cause, because getting anywhere in volunteering is all about enthusiasm for what you want to do. I was in a similar position. I started as a finance assistant in the Home Office, so no cause for any leadership at all, and some would say. But through my volunteering with the Scout Association, I was suddenly put in front of 20 kids and said, there you go, lead them. You know, you suddenly, being pushed in at the deep end, learn skills very quickly, and through trial and error, I've sort of found some, you know, useful skills, whether it's managing the children or indeed the parents, as is often the case. It's been really helpful as a skill to transfer back into the office. And the other thing I found quite useful in terms of, you say you need to chair a panel, is when I was an assistant, I went along to sort of a few meetings. If there's someone more senior you could ask to go along to, even if it's just to observe, because I found it's really useful to see how they sort of take charge of a meeting and chair it. And often people are very, pleased for you to come and watch.
Ravinda.
I mean, I can't have anything general, but all I'll say is it's difficult to discuss individual cases. If you make yourself known on your evaluation form, hopefully I'll get it, and I'm happy to speak to you outside on a one-to-one basis and see what help can give you, bearing in mind your individual circumstances. So if you make it known, I'm sure Helen's office will pass it to her.
Right, well, you've got a good offer there. I think I would also say, building leadership skills generally is done practically rather than theoretically. So as an executive assistant, you'll be in a good place to observe leadership, and I think finding a mentor and being able to shadow people and try things out yourself with colleagues is probably as equally, if not better value than necessarily going on a course. Helen, did you want to build on that?
Yeah, leadership skills. Well, what happened to me, I had no mission what happened to me. I just wouldn't take no for an answer, to be perfectly honest, if that's leadership skills. But I did go to my local charities. I sat on a board just to see what it's like, because believe it or not, this is a new world to me. I was a housewife, I was a legal PA, so I think you gain leadership skills by the passion that you believe in, that you know you're doing it for the right reasons and you want to make a difference. If you keep on that, that's your leadership skills actually, and that will follow through. So I'd really keep on board. I'm very interested because I'm working on barrier busting. But if you believe in something, you should have the right to go and champion that, and I think that will follow through.
Thank you. Right, let's come to this lady here.
Good morning, my name is Cindy Mason-Morris from the Ministry of Defence. Can I just extend an offer to the lady who just asked the question? In that we do actually have a stand within the Diversity Village, and on that stand today will be several people who chair our focus groups within our department, and in fact a couple of them are actually our industrial grades, so people who we would not actually expect to have necessarily leadership skills within our department, so people who found themselves in a very similar position to the lady who's just asked the question, who have then gone ahead and set up focus groups who have regular meetings with our permanent secretary, for example. So I'd be more than happy to talk to the lady behind me.
Thank you for that.
I really just wanted to make a statement about the Ministry of Defence. We have a sliding scale of special paid leave, which I think starts at 5 or 6 days for all sorts of voluntary work, which then goes right up to 15 days, for example, for people who are magistrates or school governors, etc. So we do have quite a generous package of special paid leave. But the one thing I would say about the Ministry of Defence is I actually do think it's built right into our DNA to volunteer. For example, myself, and I think the majority of my colleagues as well, we volunteer in various things. I mean, disability advocates, trustees of charities, school governors, etc. But the one thing I would recommend is the volunteering DIY website that hasn't been referred to today, that I'm not sure if anyone that people on the stage are familiar with, but that is a fantastic resource to actually go in, put your postcode, what activity you'd like to get involved with. It's absolutely nationwide, and it varies from tiny little charities up to national charities, and you can put in if you want to volunteer mornings, afternoons, evenings, weekends, etc. I'm not sure if it's run by the DWP or not, I'm not sure, but I know it's an absolutely fantastic resource. Volunteering DIY it's called.
Volunteering DIY, right,
Yeah.
Everybody write that down. Yep. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. There was somebody down here. Hello.
Hello, Hava Murat, the Dialogue Society. Firstly, I would like to thank the panel for sharing the fantastic work that they are doing. I work for a registered charity called the Dialogue Society. We have been running for over a decade now. And we seek to advance social cohesion by connecting communities through dialogue. Our work is predominantly community grassroots based, and we try to inspire the public to become proactive citizens in society. And my question is, how do you propose that independent charities like the Dialogue Society can build a link with the civil service? How can we tap into the resources offered by the civil service?
Helen, do you want to start on that one?
Well, I'd like to know more what you do, so I am writing everything down because I'm getting a wealth of knowledge here. And I think dialogue's very, very apt, because language is, we have to have plain English language for everybody to understand. So I think by coming forward and saying to the civil service, because the skills and the knowledge, then breaking down how we can get it through the door is a lot more important to me. So if you please leave your evaluation form with your details, I'm very interested. And for me, this is why I'm here today, to see what you guys do. Hayley, anything?
Yeah, I just really second that, and also there's quite a lot you can do in voluntary anyway, and communication in voluntary is the key, to have this network and to know who you're talking to, or you know somebody else that knows this, and you build this network up over a period of time, and you say you've been going for a decade. I'm sure you're going to have some quite good people on your network there also.
That's great. We'll follow up with you individually. I think more generally, if there are other organisations in the room, the Office for Civic Society, part of the Cabinet Office, is kind of leading for the whole civil service and driving forward the active citizenship agenda. I think they have a stand here today. And I would also make sure you get in touch with CSV, cfc.org.uk, I think, where they will be connecting the civil servants up with community groups. Okay, there was a lady right behind the previous questioner, and then a gentleman in the front.
Sheila Brinkworth, Guildford Job Centre Plus. I used to be a Venture Scout leader a long time ago. I first joined the Scouts myself in '77 when equality came in. Just one question really from my own observations, just whether there was any funding for people actually as volunteers, because I know when I did volunteering, to get the uniform, to get all the other bits and pieces, it was actually quite expensive, and I know it put some of my colleagues off because they just couldn't afford it themselves. So just wondered if it has changed at all and whether there's anything available.
Okay, good question. Hayley, how have you overcome that one?
Yeah, as I said, I'm really big for PB, which is from the Home Office. That's helped us in the community, and it's helped Scout groups as well also. There's quite a lot of funding pots out there. There really is, and you don't know how many there are until you need it. But, you know, going off that, you know, just getting out there and raising funds yourself by doing simple things as well can create change in the community, can create some money coming in as well.
Thanks. And Ravinder?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, raising funds yourself, and you can make it a fun activity, for example, like children. And if you go into most large organisations, they have large pots of money waiting to give, but actually never fully utilise. For example, without plugging anyone, I think the financial institutions, for example, like Barclays, I think top of my head, they have 1% of their profits given to community organisations. It's just basically tapping in to the right people, and hopefully the civil service website will help that. And if you have any parents who work for large organisations, once again, so it's mostly financial sector, they will give, I think up to HSB, give up to about £500 per member of staff per year for voluntary work. So if you do a reconnaissance with your parents who does what work, you'll find somewhere in there will do it, or local businesses. I've never found it a problem getting money out of local businesses, providing it's local. They can see the benefits, and it will benefit local communities. It, just as I said earlier on, it takes a few letters to do that, but the results on the whole are very positive.
Elise?
Yes, very much what my colleagues on the panel have said. In terms of the Scout Association, I mean, if it's in terms of your own uniform and your own particular costs, I found either going to your actual group locally is quite good. They can help you out, or else going to, if you're a bigger charity, sort of head office to national headquarters and asking about that. For our children going to summer camp, obviously it's quite expensive to take a lot of children away. We fundraise for at least half of the costs in the community, and that's either through, we did bag packing at a local supermarket recently, and we're going to hold a quiz. And like the others have said, we found local organisations very helpful. It really depends on your area, but sort of Rotary clubs often are very keen to give away money, or you can also sort of do a bit of bartering where we like to make the Scouts think at least that they've worked for it. So, whether it's car parking for them at a big event or holding a stall at a fete, that sort of thing. There's so many different things to tap into, but I agree it would be good if they were all in one place so you could work out where they all are.
Have to go and hunt the money out. Helen?
This is what I think, it's rewarding, and it's quite, we need to respect the people that do it and take the time out. And I think I'm looking at where funding is to help these people. And that's why I'm looking at a national hub, so we can all look in one place, so we can find the funding in your local area, or if it's in the city. But it's really essential that you are rewarded for the work you do. You're not in it for the money, you're in it for the reward, albeit financially or vouchers. Hayley did something, a theatre in where she lived. It was amazing because I had a second meeting and I had these actresses, as I found out, and they were really rowdy teenagers, I'm thinking, that's terrible, will you be quiet? But I was a bit sus because they looked a bit old for school children. And I know I'm losing my marbles with 3 daughters, but the fact is they did it for a reason, was to see a reaction of how we look at people. And they put a mattress in their estate. I think it was really good. They put this mobile number on the phone and said, phone this number. Nobody did till later in the afternoon, and a young woman phoned, a young young girl, and they rewarded her with vouchers. She didn't expect it. She just phoned up and said, this is horrible mattress, can you remove it? And she was really, really, you know, she was blown away by it. So for me, in my project, is to look at the funding, to say it is out there, because also if you've got a bid right for this funding, it puts people off at the first hurdle. As simple as possible, as plain English as possible, it's there for people, and that is what I've been championing. It's got to be, there's no barriers to, you know, they've got enough barriers to get through the door. So, you know, anybody who's got anything to give to me, I really appreciate. But keeping it simple, you know, for me, because I was a community activist before anybody, you know, anything, and I sent begging letters. I just kept sending it back and sending it back. And they either got fed up of seeing my name and gave me something, and we eventually got there. So it's just having that, you know, working together. And, you know, local banks, the NatWest Bank, have a community £1,000 they give. So tap into it, it's there, and go and spend it and have fun with the community.
Some really good tips there, thank you. Might be our last question now then, the gentleman in the front.
Hi, I'm Trevor Andrews from DWP. It's just in response to the previous speakers where they've had problems getting time off for volunteering. It might be an idea to sort of get it onto your personal development plan, and that way it'd be harder for your line managers to refuse you. In addition to that, in my department, there is a policy on public and community leave, so, you know, just make use of all your resources.
Thank you, that's a really good tip, thank you. Anyone got any, Ravinda, have you tried that, putting that on people's development plans?
No, it's something new, yes, we'll look into that, but it's not something done that. But as I said, most of the, up until now, till being inputs for people like Helen, is volunteering has always been, people have been doing it, but it's never had a focus and encouragement across the civil service. And people just done it in the past, and it was something your immediate work colleagues knew about, and most of them would help and support you, cover for you if you were making those phone calls, what have you. But I think this is the first time in the last few years it's actually getting an official sanction, and we should take advantage of that.
Hayley, do you think people get development through doing volunteering?
I just wanted to say, really, you know, volunteering, it comes on many, many scales. It doesn't take, you know, you don't have to put everything into that. You can spend an hour a week, go and help out at your local scout club, go and sit in, you know, and help chair meetings and get your knowledge and get your skills from there. You don't have to go every day and work to volunteer. Just that 1 hour can make a huge change in somebody's life and in the community where you live.
I think that's a perfect way to end. Thank you very much, Hayley. Hang on, wait. Let me just, this is a call to arms, okay, everybody? So you've got to take action at the end of this discussion. So you've heard us mention these forms that anyone who's sitting in the auditorium has them on your chair. Please fill them in. I know lots of you will be really interested in getting involved, and maybe you've never really thought about how you get yourself organised. You've got plenty of opportunities to do that on the form, including emailing Helen herself and telling her what the ideas are or what the barriers are, because she really is going to help try and bust through some of those. If you're not in the auditorium and you're watching this on video, please go to Direct.gov and you can click through onto their active communities part of their website, or click through to local.gov. There's also csv.org.uk or Do It, which is do-it.org. All sorts of websites that you can volunteer and start getting active. I hope you've really been inspired by what the panel have had to say to you today. I know I have, and I think it's a reaffirmation of the public spirit that people in the civil service actually have, and also the fantastic skills that people like yourselves have got and can share with their communities. So let's conclude by taking some action, and then join me in thanking the panel for sharing their experiences today. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.